Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so, yeah, man. Lakers, we always talk about the Lakers, man. We've been a little frustrated with them. It could always be worse. I'm not going to lie. I've been listening to a lot of Philadelphia fans, too. That's kind of been my thing lately, is listening to teams that are struggling in their fan bases and podcasts that have to do with their fan base. And just, it provides a certain perspective. Yeah, we unhappy about how the last game went, but we're not 3-12, you know what I mean? With a bunch of players paid through 2030 or whatever it is. It could be worse, and we understand that. We got one of the best rookies in the game right now, in Dalton Knecht, and maybe we want to see him get more opportunities and they've yet to come, but that's an asset that really came our way with the 17th overall pick. Quite honestly, you're not supposed to get that type of asset at 17, especially in a weak draft. You know what I'm saying? Talk about a team who doesn't have picks. For us to have it strike that rich in that one way, that's pretty good. So that's really what it comes down to. We're really happy about that blessing that came our way, and we just, wish for the best for his progression going forward. And hopefully he's happy here, man. Hopefully this Laker thing is what he expected it to be. But yeah, man, it's a lot of appreciation I want to show just because there's been so much frustration. Happy Bron is here. Happy we have a player like AD. It may have frustrated us in the last game, but, we've had some years when we had some really bad players. You know what I'm saying? So we're not fooled into thinking that it's always this, that we always have great players. Not necessarily. It's not that we're entitled to that, even though we may feel we are. Some years you're not going to have the best team. Some years you're going to have injury issues. Some years it's going to get, rough when you have to rebuild. We've been through that. I remember that one year when we got Clarkson, and that was the only young player we had. Kobe was playing, but we really didn't have an opportunity to win. It was tough, man. The Sacre years, Xavier Henrys and all those guys, man, it was tough, man. Team wasn't no good. So far be it from me to look at days like these last couple of games and just think it's the worst thing in the world and let that be the only thought that comes through my head. I'm happy we have a good team that can compete and win some basketball games, and that stuff it's worth it. You have times in your basketball life, depending on the team that you root for, may come around more than others, where you don't have a good team, man. You don't never have a good team. You don't never have the best stuff. You're always watching the best players coming to your building and whooping your behind. And you have just as much pride in your team as I have in mine, but you're just not in a fortunate space as of yet. But you keep hoping, and you know what I mean? And someday it works out for you. So, far be it from me to have the privilege of a good team, a great franchise, championships all over the place, to act like it's all that bad. You know what I mean? When we're having a rough week, or when the team is having a little drama, or whatever the case may be, it's not the end of the world. And so that's the first way to start this video, is, since it's Thanksgiving week, to show appreciation for our team still being in our city, first and foremost. And then from there, having a bunch of players on the team that can at least compete. Even on nights where it don't look like they're competing very well, they're capable of making us proud. And that's something that I think we should be thankful for going into the thankful season. So, all right, as we look forward, man, I'm hearing a lot of stuff about J.J. Redick and the defense. The Lakers' defense not looking very good right now. And people are wondering if J.J. can coach good defense. He said something along the lines of, he believes his team wants to be a good defensive team. Everybody believes they can be good, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really a strong statement to me. I think what's stronger is us being intentional on fixing some of these problems from within our control. Certain things we're not going to be able to do based on our roster. I don't expect that we will be a great transition defensive team unless we're foregoing a lot of other aspects, you know what I mean, so that we can have our best lineups for that. So you live with what you have to live with. He mentioned something like, being a coach is something like playing whack-a-mole, because you gotta, keep trying to cover up holes, you know what I mean? And something new pops up. And so I respect that too, and I think that experience comes from a space from which you know, that's not what it's always going to be. Sometimes you have teams that are a bit more complete to where it doesn't have to feel like whack-a-mole, I'd imagine. But based on what it is that he's faced with, that's the experience for him. And so we can't really fix that, given the fact that trades have yet to be made or what have you. We don't know if they're coming or not. I think we can all agree that this team wants to improve. A trade is needed, but maybe it's not in your best interest to make a trade. So, you know, you just be patient at this point, and hope for the best. But, you know, at the end of the day, I just think that this team didn't compete very well in the last two games. The Orlando game, I guess, you can just flat out say we choked. I think that's a better way to describe it. In the Denver game, we did not compete very well. We played timid. We played scared. And guys were outside of themselves. You know, I was listening to the commentary on that a little bit, and I think JJ mentioned something along the lines of we just didn't execute. You know what I mean? And no, I think it was Anthony Davis who said something like that. Like, we just missed shots. He liked the shots he took, but he just didn't hit them. And, you know, if he gets those looks again, if he believes he can hit them or something like that. I don't know, man. I believe that there's a thin line between trying to keep yourself upbeat when you use your words and kind of like selling people bullcrap. If I'm being completely honest with you, there's a thin line there. Because on one hand, you have to display confidence in order to have confidence in a lot of cases. You can't just be, you know, a person who says all types of negative stuff and then go out there and play your best. You got to believe what you say. And a lot of times in communicating, people are displaying the what they have to tell themselves to keep themselves going, you know? And so that may be a little what that was, but I don't think it was as simple as him just missing shots that he normally hits and it being an off night. There's something to the idea that this team can't beat that team. I think that's what it more so is, and that if guys are being honest with themselves, they got to look in the mirror and say, I have an issue competing against a team that I don't believe I can beat. And that's a hard thing for a competitor to actually admit. And maybe he doesn't admit that in the public. But as somebody who's rooting for the team, I would love for him to show some recognition that that is something that we're all seeing. That is not just something we're making up in our head. And this team is really struggling with the Denver Nuggets night in, night out in the same fashion. And, you know, I think it would be helpful for us as fans if we saw some acknowledgement of that. But maybe not helpful for his mindset, you know what I mean? As he tries to cope with himself. Playing poorly and costing his team in doing so. So, you know, I don't know how to look at that. All I can say is I see it differently. I don't think he took great shots and simply missed them. I think he played soft. I think he played scared. You know what I'm saying? Literally. I think the same stuff that he could do against every other team in the league, he just up and decided he couldn't do that game. You know, literally. And so, while I appreciate Anthony Davis, which is why I started this video that way, I leave room to say that I think Anthony Davis needs to dig deep. And he has a couple months to do it because we don't see Denver till after the All-Star break. But he got to dig deep and try to figure out if there's something he's missing in regards to his confidence, in regards to his ability and execution against this specific ball club. Because that's what's concerning. It's not just that he's not hitting shots against this team. It's that he doesn't seem to have it at all against this team. He got his blocks. He got his steals. A lot of that is his strength and his talent. But some of them shots he was taking, he wasn't forcing the issue. He wasn't trying to push his way into the paint. You know, he wasn't dunking on people like he normally does. And maybe that's more difficult against this team for whatever reason. But if you look at their personnel, they don't exactly have the greatest rim protector or the greatest defenders in the paint or nothing like that. Joker's a big body, and he's not a negative defender, but far be it for me to call him some great defender. They didn't even have Aaron Gordon on the floor. So, like, some of the issues are kind of ridiculous. You telling me you're afraid of Peyton Watson? You telling me Peyton Watson's so great defensively that you can't get your shot off on him? Like, you put Peyton Watson in a Nets uniform and have the Lakers face the Nets, he's going to chew Peyton Watson up. It has to do with the Nuggets. And that's what I'm saying to you. That's what I think it is. Guys are just simply, afraid of facing the Nuggets after being beaten by them a million times. And in being afraid of them, they're not aggressive, which is something I don't know that everybody has. That's not a trait that everybody has. Just because a person may be afraid doesn't mean they're not going to be aggressive. If anything, a scared cat, in a lot of cases, you back him into a corner and he comes out clawing because he's afraid. Come out spraying because you're afraid, that kind of thing. So it's like, I just think the Lakers cowered and stopped being aggressive because they were afraid. And that's a trait that I don't think translates to winning a championship, no matter how much, talent you may have. You're still going to be at a mental disadvantage, and that mental disadvantage is going to be crippling for you. And so for me, that's why I want some things to change. I don't know if it's in the personnel. Far be it from me to say let's trade Anthony Davis because of this problem. That's stupid. But something in this DNA of this team needs to change. Obviously, it hasn't. And that's the attitude that I'm bringing to the table in this video. Obviously, the change that we need didn't come in the form of a coach. Didn't come in the form of a 17th overall pick being better than most of the field. Because that same fear that I sensed the Lakers having in the playoffs last year, against the Nuggets in the regular season last year, against the Nuggets in the regular season the year prior and the playoffs prior. I mean, we just continue to have the same problem with the same team. And both teams haven't really made any drastic changes. So there may need to be some drastic changes in order for you to see that change. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm, at this point, thinking is necessary. Now, how we go about getting that done, I don't know. May be a little expensive. It may not be within the Lakers' best interest to try to do certain things that they may want to do in order to make that happen. But at the same time, it's always in your best interest as a team to try to utilize what you have so that you can give yourself different looks. And I think that's what the Lakers failed to do, as we talked about. You got to use Dalton a bit more. Maybe you call up, well, Quincy's hurt, so you can't really use him. But in a game like this, when the same guys continue to lose the same way over and over to the same people, you got to use different people. If you have them in your arsenal and they're good enough talent to go out there, you got to use them. You know what I mean? You got to run plays that maybe you wouldn't run. And I just think the Lakers, a lot has been said about the Lakers kind of using the same three-man offensive scheme as of late. JJ's got to show a certain aptitude that is displayed in his podcast on this court. If we're running the same look over and over again, then we can't expect a player like Jokic not to figure it out and master it. We keep giving the same looks to him. Of course it ain't gonna work, bro. You gotta throw some monkey wrenches in there. You gotta throw something different at the man so that he can have something new to adjust to, so he can guess a little more. And I think that's also been what a lot of the analysts have been expressing, that they're just seeing a certain monotonous style of the Lakers throwing at Jokic. And I just think that that's part of what it is that I'm saying. Use more Dalton, because that's something that he hasn't seen a lot of. You know what I mean? We have yet to make the Denver Nuggets feel shell-shocked about anything we've been doing. But if they would have ran into the way Dalton shot the ball against, who was that, Phoenix and whoever else it was that he killed, it was Utah. If we would have showed them that would have made them say, okay, yeah, we got to deal with this team differently. But they have something that they didn't have all them times we've been whooping their behind. Let's rethink our confidence, and let's get back to the drawing board, because this kid can drop 35 on us. Like, we didn't even give him enough opportunities and rhythm to see if he was having an off or on night. Now, if he would have missed his first 3 shots, then I can say, okay, we tried that, it didn't work. I can live with that. But for us to just look him off on a lot of plays, he's sitting in the corner waiting to shoot, and then we acting like he's somebody who can't shoot. That's exactly what Denver needs you to do. Keep being who you've been. Keep doing exactly what it is they've been mastering, that they have never lost to, but that one time in the playoffs. Keep doing that stuff that team did, and I guarantee you, Denver is going to win every one of those games because they figured you out 10 times over, and they're proving it every time. So that's what I got to say. We got to change the game for ourselves. We can't keep doing the same stuff, expecting different results. It's insanity, is it not? You know, I'm going to switch gears, and I probably should make an entirely different video on this. But I'm about 10 minutes away, maybe 5 minutes away from where I'm headed. So that's enough time to talk about it. Vanderbilt, I guess, from what I understand, had liked a tweet or something that essentially proposed a trade scenario that sent him to Washington with like 2 picks going another direction. That's walking away with like Valanciunas and maybe some other players. I think the Nets may have been involved in something. I don't know. But apparently he liked the idea of that post. And I tell you, man, if I were him, I'd like that post too, because it's the Lakers giving up a lot for a little. And if y'all want to get rid of me, that's exactly what I want to see you do. Botch the trade. So that's, if anything, that's what came to mind. He's like, yeah, he liked it for sure, because it's a terrible trade that'll leave us worse. Like, literally, it was an awful trade. Sending up 2 picks, bringing back Valanciunas and like Dorian Finney-Smith, some stupid shit. Something that would likely make me protest the team if they did it. Okay, let's just be honest. But nevertheless, you know, I think that when it really comes down to it, Vanderbilt's probably tired of hearing people like myself talking about how he ain't never coming back and how he's some concept of a player rather than an actual human being who's going to play basketball, who's coming back someday. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Maybe he's not pleased with certain things that have taken place with his own health situation. Who knows? I don't know enough to say enough, but maybe something else is going on. But, you know, I just think that you're going to have a hard time moving on from a guy who's hurt, who's been hurt with the same foot injury for years, basically, who's on multi-year contract that's going to take you into the future, who has enough footage on him showing that he's a hard player to play with when it comes to spacing the floor. Can't hit a jump shot in the modern era. Like, it's going to be hard to move him, man, without giving up too much. You know what I mean? Like, literally. And I want people to understand, like, in this era of the aprons, it's going to be hard to make moves. So even if it is time to move on from a guy, the likelihood that you're stuck to him, it's never been higher. Do I want to move on from Vanderbilt? If he's going to continue to be hurt, yeah, I would love Vanderbilt off of my team. That contract is not going to be great. From year to year, I don't think he's making more than like $14-15 million. So it's not the most unattractive contract if he's going to be himself. It's certainly not. But, you know, this foot thing is just become a situation where we're not just waiting on the foot injury. But from what I understand, he had surgery on his other foot as well, removing bone spurs. It's a feet thing at this point. So it's like you're a player that bounces around, plays defense, runs back and forth, gets rebounds. You're going to be on those feet. That has to fully heal. And if something went wrong in the surgery, if they botched the surgery or something like that, it could affect his career permanently. I don't want to be stuck to this dude as a Laker fan if he ain't never coming back to be the person he's supposed to be. And it's a risk moving on from a player with the type of defensive talent he has. But how much of that is a risk when you're considering he's going to have to deal with whatever the injury process is? How many years of this are we going to have to sit through where his feet are going to be a problem for him when he comes back? How many games is he actually going to be available? You know, that's the question. He's going to never play back-to-backs in these type of situations, obviously. How long are we before we see a healthy Vanderbilt? In my opinion, probably a year from now. Assuming his health is on the up and up from here on out. Now he's got to guard against further re-injury, other things going wrong when you're overcompensating for injury. We've seen guys bust their Achilles, tear knees open, stuff like that because of foot injuries that they come back from, and they're not fully strong enough to really do so. Now you're hurting something else. And with the type of style that he plays with, I think he's a high risk for that type of thing. So for me, it's like, yeah, man, hell, if I can get a good trade involving Vanderbilt, I consider him part of the trash, to be honest with you. He's down there with Gabe Vincent. You got to get him the hell out of here, man. And a part of me really doesn't know what to do in regards to what to want in this situation. Because I look at that Brooklyn Nets situation and I just see a $40 million expiring Ben Simmons contract. Ben Simmons is not a basketball player at this point. He's not an NBA player right now. His offense, his defense, his back injuries, his issues shooting the ball. I don't think he's ever going to be an NBA player again. I don't. And that's sad because I was rooting for Ben Simmons. But, you know, it's sort of like Vanderbilt. He's a spacing issue on top of the health issues. You know, so it's not like I can park him in the corner and ask him to hit threes until he gets healthy again. That's not, you know what I mean? So for me, it's like if he's expiring at 40 and I can attach all the contracts I don't want to get him, that's something I'm tempted to support, to be honest with you. But does that make this team's unit any good? Probably not, man. No, it don't make this team's unit any good. But when he comes off the books, am I going to be happy to have $40 million worth of money to throw at whatever free agent? Hell yeah, I'm going to be happy to be able to throw $40 million at a free agent next year or 2 free agents. Or to build my bench up. You know what I mean? So, or to take on a bad contract that can get me a first-round pick. You see what I'm saying? So, for like, I don't know if there's a way to match those salaries in this era. It's probably not. But if I can take Gabe Vincent, Vanderbilt, Christian Wood, I'll take the expiring Ben Simmons and just be happy with $40 million coming off my books at the end of the season. I've been thinking about this, and I don't think we're the team that needs it the most. But like I said, when you are lacking in pick equity, cap space can be something that is very valuable to you. When you're trading for trade exceptions, if such a thing is possible, though I'm not 100% sure it is, you can attach on second rounders, first round picks for bad contracts. It gives you leverage to keep, to move on from certain players. You talk about D'Lo coming off the books. That's $60 million coming off the books at the end of the year with D'Lo and Ben Simmons. Like, I don't know what the Nets would want. Obviously, they'd want more than what it is I'm giving them. But, like, you know what I'm saying? There's a world where $60 million next year for this team in free agency cap money can do a world for building up what it is that we need to build in regards to our bench or getting another third star or whatever the hell they want to do. And I'm always looking for ways to improve the books. This team, yeah, that's cool. Trust me, I get it. Most people want to improve this team so we can give a championship opportunity. But for me, I'm looking at flexibility, cap space, and the prospect of being able to build something entirely better than what it is we have right now. Not necessarily bringing myself Valanciunas just so he can bang with Jokic and still get cooked. That's small fry thinking from my brain, to be honest with you. I'm more so thinking, okay, with that $60 million, I can go get that player, make that trade, get myself a first round pick in that trade. I can move that player, get that trade exception, bring that back. It's so many different things that I can do with $60 million in an NBA cap situation. If I can get my hands on that Ben Simmons contract, it frees up $40 million, man. I just think that should be a highly covetable thing for a lot of teams in this league. A team like the Lakers, maybe not the most, but a team like Philadelphia, who has all these problems they should want that Ben Simmons contract. I know bringing them back to Philly's crazy, but they should want that contract. So it can help them build their team in a way that ultimately right now their flexibility doesn't allow. And so that's really what it's about for me. I don't really find myself too enthused about moving first round picks to make this year's team better. I don't care about none of that, to be honest with you. Not after what I just saw against Denver. I don't think the ceiling of this team is that great, even if you bring yourself that center. But you can certainly build something that is, if you got a whole lot of cap space to do so. Salute the Kobe Minute. My name is BDL44. I thank y'all for watching.